Hello and welcome. I'm Natalie. Let's talk about money. So, today we're going to talk about the changes that happened on April 14th for Social Security. And so, it depends on who you ask, but basically, the Social Security Administration is trying to make changes to make the system more secure and less fraudulent because there is lots of fraud apparently that's happening. People that are collecting money that shouldn't, people that aren't even citizens that are collecting money and shouldn't. So they apparently are putting in new rules to keep track of who's actually getting our benefits or getting Social Security Administration benefits. So there's a couple that are going on. And the first one that I wrote down was that they're implementing stricter verification procedures, basically processes. So if you call in on the phone to ask questions or make changes or what have you, if there's any sort of red flags that the associate on the other line thinks is some sort of red flag, or there's probably a checklist that they go through, they have a right to not make changes and to have you go online, is what they really want, is for you to go online or to go into a local office. Now, of course, not everyone lives close to a local office. And so what happens to those customers? They're not customers, but I don't know what else to call them. They're customers. The applicants, basically. What happens to those that don't live close to an office and also don't have internet in their home? They could, in theory, reach out to a family member or a friend or whatever and have them make the changes online. But what if you don't trust other people like that? What if you don't trust other people logging into your account and making changes? Because what happens if you don't trust them, there's a reason why you don't trust them, right? I mean, in theory, your family you should probably trust, but not everyone can be trusted. So there was quite a bit of backlash about people having to go into an office or doing their changes online. And it's understandable because I work for a company where we attempted to move everything online. You had to sign off on all your paperwork. You had to agree to everything online. You had to sign off on it using a DocuSign. And everyone thought that this would be so easy and so, seamless. But there's a lot of our country that doesn't have access to the internet and doesn't use their cell phone as the internet. Typically, these are people of age that are a little older, maybe senior citizens, or even just myself. Like, I don't like to sign stuff on my phone. I need to see it on a screen. So I do have to pull up my laptop and look at it on a screen. But what if those people, what if people don't have the capability to do that? What if they only have a flip phone? Or what if they have no friends and family that are nearby that they can call? Or, there's so many ways that this could go wrong. And so there was a lot of backlash over that. So if you are calling in to file a claim over the phone, you have to go through these new anti-fraud checks. And if flagged, so the Social Security office can flag your call and say something was going on here, something extra is happening. And so in those cases where they flag your account, you have to go in or do it online, which I have mixed feelings about this because when my company tried to go all online, I personally know that not all people have access to the internet. We just don't. And so I had a problem with it. So I also have a problem with the Social Security Administration doing the same thing because this is supposed to be a benefit to all legal Americans that have worked in their lives. And so not all Americans that have worked in their lives have access to the internet or to a phone or to a family member that can help them or to a family member that can maybe drive them to an office or even to a local office. If you live out in a rural area like the home that I purchased that burned down was an hour and a half away from Dallas. And it was not an hour and a half in the more populous area. It was an hour and a half south, like going down toward Houston. So it was a desolate area, which is why we got it. And so those situations happen where people just don't have access, like perhaps the government or the people that are making these changes think that they do. So the SSA is saying that the change affects approximately 4.5 million people because that's about how many annual telephone claims that they get. So if you have approximately 4.5 million claims being filed and about 70,000 of those are flagged, that's less than 2% of all of the claims that are being flagged. Now, if you're part of that 2%, that's a problem and something that should be addressed. But perhaps you're being flagged for a reason and you need to make changes. I mean, it is what it is. You need to make changes. If you want to do stuff over the phone, you have to make it so that the company, whatever company it is you're dealing with, whether it's the SSA or Best Buy, you have to make it so that your information is accessible and is accepted by the company you're dealing with. Okay. So it may, these changes may lead to longer wait times because it is a new process. Anytime there's a new process, it's going to probably take agents longer in order to go through all the checks and make sure everything is okay. Just wanted to pop in and ask that you go ahead and give the video a big thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and be sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you should hit the bell so you know when the next video comes out. Do you get SSA, and do these changes that came into effect on April 14th scare you? Or is this something that seems normal and you can accept it pretty easily? Let me know. Comment down below. Now, there was an actual plan to start with that was going to eliminate all claims made over the phone. But of course, the backlash from that was horrible. So they took that back. And so you still can make any sort of claim on the phone. But the flagging is still a thing. So even though you can make your claim on the phone, your account could be flagged given, whatever it is that you're asking for or whatever you can't verify over the phone. So just keep that in mind. It is still valid. You still can call. But if your account gets flagged, then that's when the problem arises where you'd have to go into an office or do it online. Okay, but you still can make those claims on the phone. And then next is perhaps the good news is that the cost of living adjustment, which they call the COLA, is increasing or is going to be, it's not increasing, is going to be 2.5% for 2025. Now, I looked at the Social Security Administration website, and so they have it listed all the way back from the 70s, what the increase is. It's supposed to kind of keep up with inflation. It overcomes inflation. And our average over the course of the last 5 years, so from 2020 to 2025, the average was 4.64% of an increase. Okay, so every year, on average, it's 4.64. Now, this is not normal. This is because in the last 5 years, they have increased the benefits dramatically. So I have it here. 2022, there was a 5.9% increase. In 2023, which is the next year, it was 8.7% of an increase. Imagine going to work and you get your normal 3% increase every year. And then next year you go into work and they announce you're going to get an 8.7% increase. That's great. I don't know how it's possible given how much money the Social Security is lacking. But so these last 5 years have been a little bit dramatic in terms of increases, which is why the average is so high. Now, years before, like if we look at 1995 through 2000, the averages or the actual numbers were between 1.3 and 2.9, which is more of the average, kind of follows inflation. So I wouldn't get excited about the average of 4.64 right now because I think it was overinflated by those couple of years where there were extreme increases in Social Security Administration benefits. Okay, and then the next change, which may hurt some people, it will affect lots of people, but they are changing to a system in which you must pay back 100% of any overpayments that you've been paid. You must pay those back as soon as possible. So basically, if you get $1,500 a month in Social Security benefits, but they overpaid you $3,000 last year somehow, you owe them $3,000. So your next check, which would normally be $1,500, and the check after that, which would normally be $1,500, is going to be zero because you have to pay back the $3,000 that they overpaid you. So this may seem a little dramatic, but this is how I understood it and this is how I read it. So I'm just reading back, or not reading, but I'm just giving you back what I understood out of it. So it's 100% overpayment recovery fee, or recovery rate. It's not a fee. So you do have to pay 100% back of what they overpaid you before you get any more payments. So if you are one of the people that is living high off the hog because they've been overpaying you for years, you might have a problem. You might want to tighten up your budget a bit, because they are saying that you have to pay back 100% before you're paid any more. Now, I imagine there's got to be a lot of backlash on this as well once people realize what it actually means. Because if I owe the SSA $1,500 and my check is only $1,500, they're going to take my whole check and I'm not going to get a check this month. Which is why you can't count on the government. That's why, because you don't know what the hell they're going to do. But anyway, so this one is kind of dramatic, and this one may hinder a lot of people. And so if you are in the SSA program and are getting paid every month, you need to make sure that the amount that they're paying you is valid and not an overpayment, because they will be checking apparently, and they will be collecting that money back from you. And you don't want to be responsible for paying $5,000 back when you only get $1,200 a month. That is not where you want to be. So make sure it's valid. If you need to call and ask, then make sure you have your valid information and call and ask. If you get flagged, you're going to have to go into an office or do it online, because this is important. You don't want to owe the government of any sort money, because they will take your money. They believe they have the right, so they will take it. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So just know that if you owe SSA, if you owe Social Security because they overpaid you, you need to get that money back to them as soon as possible. And then the last major change that I found was that they're going to phase out paper checks completely. So they're going to be using direct deposit, which most companies around the country use direct deposit, but some people still collect a paper check. And so the government still does send out paper checks. And so these are going to be eliminated in September, the end of September of this year, 2025. This is what we're told. And so they're going to go to direct deposit and also to a specific Social Security debit card that you can use, at ATMs and whatever with no fees. There's, I think it said somewhere around 60,000 different ATMs you can use it at. And if you were to instead just get your Social Security direct deposited into a bank account, it would make life a lot easier, and you wouldn't have to rely on the Social Security debit card to work or to be active or to be whatever. You can rely on your local bank or a non-local bank, I guess. A local bank is always better. So paper checks are being eliminated as of September 30th is what they're saying. So as of September 30th, no more paper checks are going to be mailed out to people. So ensure that you have your information updated in the system, updated so they know where to send your money. You should already be getting direct deposit anyway. If you don't have direct deposit, make sure to get the debit card that Social Security offers. These are all things that in 2025, this to me is the most logical. The others are but this to me is very logical. You should be getting your money direct to you into your pocket. And then you can go to your bank and you can cash out all that money and put it in an envelope, like Dave Ramsey, put it in an envelope if you need to. Or leave it in your bank and just use it with a debit card. Okay, so that was the last major change that I was able to find. So obviously the world is changing. We see changes every day in the United States. It's a little bit mind-blowing what's happening. It's a little bit scary, but also gives some hope because things are changing. We're not going to be defrauded of quadrillions of dollars. Is a quadrillion? Is that a number? Trillions. We'll say trillions. Trillions of dollars, billions of dollars, millions of dollars, or any dollars for those that matter. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing for America. How we go about these changes is the part that's a little rocky still, and people just aren't trusting that it's good. And so we need to just hold on and just let change happen. And you have to go with the flow and move with the change. If you don't like the changes, that's fine and understandable. But if you are getting Social Security checks, you need to make sure that you continue to get your Social Security checks. They're not cutting anyone out of Social Security that's a valid, applicant. They are cutting out illegal immigrants and people that can't verify their identity. They are cutting those people out. They're flagging also those people that call in, and the same thing. They're either illegal immigrants or they cannot verify themselves. So that is happening no matter what. So be sure that you have your information is valid and available. You can provide an ID of some sort and, do all the things so that you're ready in case you are flagged and you need to provide proof that you're an American citizen or that you are able to get Social Security. Okay, I've spent way too much time on this, so be sure to invest in yourself today so that you can make a difference for others tomorrow. Give the video a big thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, are you collecting Social Security, and are these changes making a big difference for you? And then also subscribe. Be sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you should hit the bell so you know when the next video comes out. I thank you so much for stopping by today. Y'all have a great one.